the Trevor Jackson podcast.
Appreciate y'all tuning in. If you ain't hit the like button by now, man, go ahead and man, come on, quit playing. Real talk, it's free. Quit playing, man. Help your boy trigger the algorithm. Real talk. Quit playing. So the last 3 days I spent listening to Allen Iverson's audiobook on Audible. Misunderstood. I like to learn about individuals. Michael Jordan is my GOAT, but my favorite three players to watch and seeing their upbringing and stuff is Carmelo Anthony, Allen Iverson, and Tracy McGrady. I just love those boys, man. I know they offensive heavy, but that was, my type of style of play, my type of swag that I, gravitated to around my life. And that was around the prime of my life, to be honest with you, when those boys was playing in the league. But listening to this book, I didn't know that he had gone through so many things. I didn't know that his upbringing was so hard and he had did jail time and stuff like that. And to listen to his story and to think about where we at in basketball now, where I think that, coming up from the streets, it's going to be hard for a young kid to come up and first face the adversity that he would have to face nowadays because, these kids get funded and they go through programs and schooling and stuff right when the parents can afford it. And these kids from the hood ain't going through that program and they just got a ball and they got to make their dreams happen. But let's get into AI talking about he didn't have no blueprint. He just did what he had to do.
Yes.
Did you feel pressure? No pressure?
Was not even not even a thought.
You come through Georgetown, #1 pick, you're making this money. I mean, that journey, everyone was putting their bet on you. You're gonna basically take us to a place we wanna go, haven't been. Did you feel pressure as far as that's concerned? No?
Couldn't have said it better than how you said it. Just like that. You know what I mean? But 21 years old,
right.
I've never had a blueprint to life.
Right. You're making it
better yet, rich life. Never had nothing in my life.
Right.
I didn't have no blueprints. Nothing. I never had nobody in my family that ever had money. I never had nobody in my family that had ever been to college.
Right.
You know what I mean? I everything I was getting from people in unfamiliar territory. Right. You know what I mean? Coach Thompson was like the first person that I ever been around that had that type of success and could understand what I was going through and where I was trying to go. He used to always tell me, you always listening to somebody that don't know what they're talking about. You know what I mean? How can they tell you how to get from A to Z and they ain't never been there? Right. That's one thing he used to always tell me, and I was like, damn, you know what I mean?
I think that the world has changed so much. We living in times where people don't have empathy or be sympathetic for children that grow up in impoverished situations. Like some individuals who make it out feel like, make it out. I made it out. Why you can't do the same thing that I can do? When I feel like that's a disservice. If you come from that environment, assisting a person ain't bad. If you see that person want to take it to the next level and they're willing to do the things to take it to the next level. Allen Iverson from listening to this book, he was a kid dealing with a lot of challenges. He just didn't like authority. He didn't like being told what to do. He didn't like waking up early to go to school and all of that. But you can't blame him because what did he see the opposite of? By his father not being there, by him being around his stepfathers and all of that old type of stuff. And growing up in the hood, the men that you want to be like is the men that dress fresh and sell the dope and got the money and the cars. It's just, how can you blame a kid that grows up in that environment if you ain't willing to assist them and you see they're hungry and they want more? Man, do y'all think that this is a question I want to pose before I play the next clip of him talking about his mother. And it's a short one. But do y'all think the days is over for kids coming up in the hood and everything going to the league? Because we see the league is transitioning to kids that come from other countries and things. It's almost just as many as them people coming from other countries as it is black players in the league left. It's just interesting, man. The change in the game. Let's go.
Like, damn, mommy said I can do it. So I was out there putting the fucking work in to become that. I was out there doing it. Even with all that shit going on around me. I would go out there and put the goddamn hours out there on that goddamn court until it got dark. I was hungry as a motherfucker. I'm gonna play basketball. There ain't no food in this goddamn house. I'ma take it out on somebody. My friends dying in the streets. Let's play football, goddammit. I'm mad. I want to hit somebody. I want to do something.
You know, that was a part of the book that I clipped up for y'all from Audible or whatever. It was important to me because, you know, getting that pain out and thinking about what you got, like dealing with stuff at home and you want to release that rage. I didn't know that AI was a hell of a football player neither. I heard about it and things, but he got more specific about it in the book, talking about how he got to the quarterback position, him being small and what he achieved at the quarterback position. And that was the sport that he enjoyed the most until his mom believed in him in basketball and made him go to tryouts. And she supported him and that empowered him. That's why it's important to have certain individuals in your life, like your mom. You need a village around you, the people that's in your community to help you and to put that passion and that fire in you and speak positively over you. I think that that's important, you know, speaking positively over a child, over the youth. Even if you don't see, you know, they could be looking bad, having a bad hair day, dress bad, down on themselves. Say something positive and you could change the whole trajectory of their life, not just their day, just by you empowering them and them remembering that time and time over again in their life. They'll remember that, like, and they'll go back to that as a point of reference that I'm great. Do that, man. Real talk. Let's get into the next clip where he speak about his mom going up to Georgetown while he was in jail his senior year in high school. He did enough in his junior year to where people was noticing him and he was ready to go to college and everything. He was in jail his senior year. His mom went up to Georgetown. She went to D.C. and spoke with Coach John Thompson.
As coach, I didn't think that would work for me. My mom didn't listen to me, as usual, but what she did when I was in jail wasn't something I could control. So the next part is just a story I heard. I heard it from my mom about 1,000,000 times, and Coach Thompson liked to tell it too. It went like this. My mom and Boo Williams agreed Georgetown was worth a shot. Williams had a prior relationship with Coach Thompson because he had coached morning in AAU ball and was involved in the recruitment. So Williams called Coach Thompson to talk about me. Coach Thompson said he would be willing to consider it, but wanted a meeting with my mom. So my mom, Boo, Jamil Blackman, an older dude who had become close with me and my family, and Butch Harper, who ran the Aberdeen sports program, all got in a car and took a drive up to D.C. They arrived on campus at McDonough Gymnasium, where Coach's office and the practice facility were at. Once they got there, they started talking. The meeting got off to a terrible start. Somebody in the room questioned whether Coach Thompson could coach a guard, and he was about ready to kick them on out of there. So my mom stopped it, and she asked to speak to Coach Thompson alone. Everyone shuffled out, and it was just the two of them. Then she got started crying. She basically begged him to take me, told him about how much she and I had been through, about how I had hopes to bring the whole family out of poverty. And then she got really serious and basically said that if Coach Thompson didn't save me, if I was left down there with everything going on, I could die. It was my life in the balance. I didn't know Coach Thompson yet, but I can imagine how he was from when I did know him. He probably got all stern and serious. He would agree to help the child, but the child would have to agree to concentrate on his studies, and there would be no excuses for any misbehavior. I could see him saying something like that. He said he would send his athletic department academic advisor down to Virginia to check out my work. No promises. By the time my mom and Coach Thompson walked out of his office, it was arm in arm. He later said of that day, he saw the love of a mother who was afraid for the life of her child.
He saw the love of a mother who was afraid for the life of their child. Wow. You know, Georgetown, in the book, he spoke about it being a place that he wasn't too familiar with, having great point guards, because it was a place that prioritized the big man, because John Thompson was a big man. He had Ewing, he had Mourning, he had others that I really can't remember right now, but it was always a great big man, and they just brung the ball down and gave it to the big man down low to do his thing and got out the way. But having Allen Iverson, the ultimate small man, it would have to be a totally different game, and it worked. He appreciated him. He talks about him in his book also. The book I have of John Thompson is a great, great book also, talking about basketball and the life of him at Boston and, you know, coming up through his historic rise in sports. And I think, didn't he play at Georgetown also? Yeah, I think he played at Georgetown also. So the history at Georgetown is interesting. And I felt like that was important to talk about in this book, more important than the dressing and talking about practice. You know, we done heard that forever. If you are familiar with Allen Iverson, if you are young listening to this, you know, that practice thing was blasphemous, the way that the media hyped that up. And nowadays you have people doing load management and not playing in games and all of that old type of stuff. It was blasphemous because the man came and played, and he never said that he didn't enjoy practice. He just said, y'all talking about practice. That's all. So I felt like his time at Georgetown was something that I wanted to highlight, and his relationship with Jordan is something I want to highlight also from the interviews in the book that he has. But, you know, I want to talk about Georgetown for just a hot second, and I'm going to get on to his relationship with Jordan. You know, I thought that, like, watching it on TV in the South, I would think that Georgetown was like a HBCU. But when I went to Georgetown in real life, when I visited D.C., and I seen how expensive things was, I seen the designer stores, the restaurants that's up there, and the elegance and the oldness of Georgetown, and realized that this ain't no black school. This is a place where a lot of the senators and people that's in politics kids go to school. Like, this is like a prominent school. And it's interesting. See, they got a black coach, but DC is Chocolate City is just interesting. DC has HBCUs and all of that. But Georgetown ain't what y'all may think it is if y'all don't know too much about that area. It's a real prominent school. And I rock with Georgetown. I enjoy them. I want to see them get back on top too, or get back to playing, you know, just good basketball. One thing I want to say though, y'all disrespectful for them ticket prices up there though. That shit is super disrespectful. I ain't even gonna lie to you.
I think I'm the best. I think I'm the biggest Michael Jackson fan in the world. I know I'm the biggest Michael Jordan fan. I will argue you down when it comes to that. I love him that much. You know what I mean? I've seen him a plethora of times, and he never looks like a real human being to me. I mean, I've never seen someone look at someone, and maybe it's just that I love him that much. I get nervous around him every time I'm around him.
To this day?
Yeah, like I went to a Charlotte game. I live in Charlotte, and he was with, obviously, the owner of the Hornets. And he invited me to a game. We come up, and we're in his suite, and my friends pulled me to the side and was like, Chuck, you know, he called me Chuck. Like, Chuck, man, you are embarrassing the hell out of us, man. It's like, you a superstar too, man. Don't do this. You know what I mean? And
what were you doing?
Just, you know, man, do you know how much I love you, man? And and this story and that story, and this is what you mean to me. And, I always looked at you. You looked like a superhero on the basketball court, and I always wanted to look like a superhero like you. And I put my flavor like you with my headband and my wristband, and my shoes always got to match my uniforms, and different. You know what I mean?
You're a Hall of Famer talking like this.
It's Michael Jordan, man.
But you're one of the 75 too.
You got to understand that I wouldn't be one of the top 75 if it wasn't for him. He gave.
It's going to always be an appreciation for Jordan, but the farther we get away from his greatness and his achievements, the less he's appreciated because the youth don't know the history. One thing I want to commend both of these brothers on, and I understand why he's a big Jordan fan, because the greatness in Jordan wasn't him being the best athlete or the fastest or the strongest or the tallest. It was him up against adversity and him putting his life on the line to win those games. Willing to go in the hole when he knew he was going to get fouled. Putting his life on the line. So Allen Iverson can resonate with that when I listen to this book based upon the background of his and how he came up and how he had to put that energy out to be able to win those type of games being a small man. So he looked up to Jordan doing that. Today, the game is kind of sweet. And no disrespect to the players of today, because it's the era that y'all play in. But it's kind of sweet. It's not physical. It's not, imagine, like, the one thing I want to commend Allen Iverson on before I play the last clip of his book, and I suggest y'all go get his book if y'all like. I'm not a sponsor or getting paid to promote the book. I'm just being honest with y'all and telling y'all the truth about how I feel about the book. But go purchase his book because it's just an interesting conversation and something that is historical, his life experiences and things. But hand checking, for him to achieve the things he achieved during a time where they was hand checking, because now you can't touch the player coming up the court. During his time, you could hand check, you could, touch the person. So him being his height, I think he's 6'2" or 5'10" or something. I don't know what he is, the height. I can't remember, but he was a small guy. And him being a small guy and being able to achieve the things that he achieved at his size during the hand-checking era, man, he deserves a round of applause.
They had me on this show one time, a fucking debate show. And yes, they were debating. They were getting personal, but they couldn't get me to talk like that. I know they were thinking, man, we got to get this motherfucker off this camera. This kid ain't going to talk shit about nobody. I look at the NBA today, and they limit the hand checking. They spread everyone out. There's even more freedom on the court. Imagine all the shit I could have accomplished in that environment. And all these younger guys with crazier styles than I ever had, no one paying it any mind. I'd pay the dues so that these guys could express themselves and bring home a bag, making millions and millions more than I ever made. But nah, I can't criticize anyone. The players that came after me on the 75th anniversary team were guys like Chris Paul and Dwayne Wade. Dudes who not only exemplified greatness, but also wore number 3, following in my footsteps. Then you had Russell Westbrook and James Harden. I'd put them on my TV anytime they played. And of course, my favorite, Steph Curry, who hit 16 threes during the All-Star game that very day. I remember sitting in the crowd watching him go crazy like that, and I was just enjoying the show. I don't even like to say a favorite because all those dudes are so great. Just think about my draft class of 1996. Not long after they called my name, Ray Allen and Steve Nash joined me up there. Of course, the greatest draftee of 96 couldn't attend. When they announced Kobe's spot, we all just stopped celebrating for a minute. God damn it, it wasn't right that he wasn't there with us. But
that was the last chapter in the book, him talking about being one of the 75 greatest players to ever play in the NBA and being the shortest guy out of those 75, the smallest guy out of those 75 players to make it to the NBA. I feel like if y'all interested in this, go purchase the book, man. Real talk. Dope conversation, dope individual. Loved his story, and, I purchased the book. It's so good that I feel like I should purchase a copy of the book, a physical copy, just to have access to it. Round of applause to AI, man. Salute to AI. I'm in the same city as AI, Randy Moss, and Michael Jordan. A few great individuals. And you can see them guys, man, on the street from time to time. especially Mike because he got the police escort, so it's easy to see him out. But AI, he be in the malls a lot. Randy Moss, you might see him at a restaurant or something, eating or passing in traffic. Charlotte is an interesting city, and I don't know why those two guys chose Charlotte. But it's just an interesting place. Salute to AI, man. Go purchase the book, man. Real talk. Misunderstood.
The Trevor Jackson Podcast.